Imagine Europe in the year 1095. Famine, poverty, and endless wars tear apart this land. People are desperate for change, for a purpose, for hope. Suddenly, in 1095, Pope Urban II steps forward and makes a call that shakes the world. He calls upon all Christians to march east and take Jerusalem from Muslim control. At that moment, something stirs within the hearts of men. Knights, peasants, and kings answer the call. They sew crosses to their tunics and set out on a journey that will change history forever. The First Crusade. This is the story of those who dared to dream of a world transformed, who fought and died for their beliefs, and who changed the course of history forever. Their journey is brutal, filled with hunger, disease, and death, but their determination does not waver. Finally, in 1099, after years of hardship, they reach Jerusalem. The city is under siege, and soon the Crusaders prepare to storm it. The moment of truth has arrived. As they enter the city, a massacre ensues. Thousands are killed, and Jerusalem is under Christian control for the first time in over 400 years. But history won't end here. Decades pass, and a new leader emerges, Saladin al-Ayyubi, known to us as Saladin. He is a force to be reckoned with, a ruler unlike any other. But what sets him apart is not just his power, but his mercy. In 1187, the Crusader armies face a decisive moment at the Battle of Hattin. It's a crushing defeat. The Crusader kingdom is shattered, and Jerusalem is in Muslim hands once again. This moment seems like the end, but it's really just the beginning. When Saladin retakes Jerusalem, he spares the people and even treats his enemies with respect. This act earns him admiration and respect from even his enemies. Back in Europe, the call for revenge echoes. And so begins the Third Crusade, with the legendary Richard the Lionheart leading the English forces. The stage is set for an epic clash of wills and ideologies. The next few years are marked by battles and sieges across the Holy Land. Richard and Saladin face each other in legendary battles. Neither side gains a decisive advantage. Richard's military brilliance meets Saladin's tactical genius. Each victory is hard-won and respected. It's a clash not just of armies, but of philosophies. And then comes the climax, the Siege of Acre. Richard is determined to capture the city, but it's a tough battle. Negotiations begin, but it seems neither side is ready to back down. But then something unexpected happens. A truce is made, an agreement that changes the fate of Jerusalem. Richard and his knights can finally return home. But before they leave, they strike a deal that will shape the future of the city. Jerusalem will remain under Muslim control, but Christian pilgrims will be allowed to visit freely. And with that, the Third Crusade comes to an end. Yet the question remains, why do these stories matter to us today? Why should we care about these ancient conflicts that seem distant and irrelevant? And here's why. These stories shaped our world in ways we can hardly imagine. They left an indelible mark on history, influencing everything from trade routes to cultural exchanges to the rise of the Renaissance. It's a journey that took centuries and touched every corner of the globe. The impact of the Crusades is like ripples spreading across a pond, touching and changing lives far beyond the clash of arms and shields. The Crusades brought together people from different cultures, forcing them to adapt, innovate, and create. Cities along trade routes boomed, becoming centers of commerce and culture. And when people from different faiths met, it sparked the exchange of ideas, inventions, and art forms. The very essence of the Renaissance can be traced back to this era of exploration and discovery. So if you think the Crusades were just about war and conquest, you'd be wrong. They were a catalyst for cultural exchange, helping to shape the world we live in today. But the story doesn't end there, because alongside the triumphs and discoveries, there was a darker side to this era. There were instances of incredible cruelty and intolerance. The sack of Constantinople, where Christian crusaders attacked and pillaged their fellow Christians, is a dark stain on history. It reminds us of the destructive power of religious fervor and the importance of tolerance and understanding. Now let's delve deeper into the heart of this story, the encounter between two legendary figures, Richard the Lionheart and Saladin. Imagine the year 1192. Richard the Lionheart of England is a warrior known for his bravery and skill. But now he faces his greatest challenge yet, besieging the city of Acre, a key Crusader stronghold in the Holy Land. But guarding the city is none other than Saladin. As the siege drags on, a unique bond begins to form between Richard and Saladin. Despite being on opposite sides of the battlefield, they develop a grudging respect for each other's courage and leadership. When one of Saladin's men captures Richard's brother, John, during a raid, Saladin returns him safely to Richard. And it's not just a gesture of kindness, it's a reflection of Saladin's broader philosophy. His rule isn't just about conquest, it's about justice and fairness. He shows mercy to those who surrender and treats his prisoners well, even offering them jobs if they choose to stay in his empire. Richard, though a fierce warrior, is also a man of honor. And as he witnesses Saladin's chivalry, he too feels a shift in perspective. It's not just about winning a battle or claiming land. It's about understanding and respecting your enemy. Now, the pressure is mounting on both sides. Richard needs a victory to secure his reputation. Saladin wants to defend his homeland. But as the siege continues, the idea of an honorable peace deal becomes more appealing than a bloody victory. Finally, negotiations begin, and this is where the story reaches its peak. Richard and Saladin meet, not on the battlefield, but at a small inn near the city walls. No guards, no weapons, just two leaders discussing the fate of a city and perhaps the future of their nations. Saladin proposes a solution that shocks Richard. He offers to give Richard's forces safe passage out of Acre if they abandon the siege. In return, he'll allow Christian pilgrims access to Jerusalem. It's an offer that goes against everything Richard has been fighting for. But as Richard considers the proposal, he sees the wisdom in Saladin's words. The cost of continuing the siege is too high. Richard accepts the deal and the siege ends. Why is this story important? Well, because it reflects the spirit of understanding and compromise that we need today. In a world often marked by conflict and division, the story of Richard and Saladin reminds us that there is always room for dialogue. It's a lesson that transcends time and speaks directly to our need for tolerance and peace. As the years go by, the later Crusades lose their original purpose. Some turn violent, targeting fellow Christians, as seen in the infamous sack of Constantinople in 1204. By the 13th century, the dream of the Crusades seems to have faded, but their impact is undeniable. The Crusades helped establish trade routes, spread ideas, and set the stage for the Renaissance. Now, the question is, how did this era come to an end? What events marked the final chapter of the Crusades? The decline of the Crusades is a complex process influenced by various factors. As the 13th century progressed, European interest in the Holy Land waned. Internal conflicts in Europe, including the rise of nation-states and the growth of rivalries, diverted attention and resources away from the Eastern expeditions. Moreover, the changing political landscape in the Middle East, including the rise of new powers, made further Crusader advances increasingly difficult. Key moments such as the Battle of Manzikert in 1096, which saw the Byzantine army's defeat by the Seljuk Turks, had a significant impact on the Crusader presence in the region. This defeat not only weakened Byzantine defenses, but also opened the way for the expansion of Muslim control. As the Crusades continued through the 12th century, they gradually lost their initial zeal. Later Crusades often became more focused on territorial expansion and power struggles rather than the original religious fervor. The infamous sack of Constantinople in 1204, where Christian crusaders attacked and looted the city, exemplified the growing complexities and internal conflicts within the crusading movement. By the 13th century, with the signing of the Treaty of Jaffa in 1229, which granted Christians limited access to Jerusalem without full control, the momentum of the Crusades had significantly waned. As we reflect on the legacy of the Crusades, it's crucial to acknowledge their lasting impact. The Crusades played a significant role in shaping medieval European society, politics, and culture. They influenced the development of new military orders such as the Knights Templar, who became renowned for their religious zeal and martial prowess. The Crusades also had profound effects on the relationship between Christianity and Islam, leaving behind a legacy of both cooperation and conflict. Moreover, the Crusades had economic consequences, influencing trade patterns and the exchange of goods between Europe and the Middle East. Ultimately, the Crusades stand as a pivotal chapter in medieval history, leaving an enduring mark on the course of human events. The story of the Crusades reminds us that history is a tapestry woven with threads of triumph and tragedy, faith and fanaticism, courage and cruelty. It's a story that continues to echo in our world today. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you've enjoyed this adventure, I invite you to like this video. Let's continue exploring history together. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep seeking answers, and keep exploring the wonders of our shared human story.